One of those days, people will start joining, I imagine, eventually. Whatever space of time you're watching this, night, day. The point of these are, I mean, they're kind of therapeutic, um, meditative, just to put my thoughts somewhere where maybe something catches. And that's kind of the point. I think that's the point of anything these days. Yeah, I don't expect much. I don't expect anything out of this really, other than maybe eventually someone will watch this somewhere and find value. Um, the title is pretty obvious. Why or what the topic is, or what the theme of this current kind of conversation, maybe. I don't know who I'm talking to, but it's kind of fun talking to myself, maybe. Hmm. I think one of the main things I've been repeating in my head, maybe a mantra I've been telling myself, is to you have to drop the problem in order to pick up a solution. You have to have like a free hand uh, to really start something new, to change, to begin to choose a novel thing in your life rather than just repeating a culture or a cultural movement or just a social movement you're seeing online or in person around you. I think we've replaced the imagination, like our ability to imagine something, with sc- images, images and words and sounds on a screen that can really show us anything at any given moment. And I mean, if you think about what the mind and the imagination is, that is that is kind of what that is. It kind of um, you can think anything. You don't have to do that thing, but you can think it. And that's really what I find this to be. What I'm live streaming on right now is really just I chose to do this in this way, whether it works or retains viewers or millions of viewers in the future or concurrent live viewers. I feel like anything, you have a certain way something works, or a certain way that something is formed into being, and that's kind of what I view social media as, and the electronics and technology. Well, they've kind of just formed into this thing that it's kind of just repeating itself. Like there's just more apps that are the same, or there's more videos under certain niches that are just repeating. Um, so you can make money in that field of whatever, that field of content, if you will. I don't like the word content. I don't believe what I'm doing right now is for content or for contentment. It is more of just trying, or in my mind, it's more of me just trying to take back our our taking back our minds, taking back our bodies, because I think for far too long, technology and electronics, social media, the internet has been handed to us in a certain way. You know, followers, likes, uh, comments, uh, engagement, like containing a certain amount of people to like repeatedly watch your videos and watch your what you have to offer, to kind of build a community of sort of build a community or a society of images and content that kind of ends up being called a community or a scene that is really just all mental. And it's like words, colors, and shapes on a screen, and the rest is like a mental projection in our minds of engaging with a culture that's just online, like a gaming culture. I was really into gaming, and I still kind of am. I like gaming, or I like watching some competitive gaming. It's just interesting. It's like watching a competitive football, or basketball or baseball. It's just it's a weird little, like, okay, this is what we do. Let's just make pretend this game. It's weird. I got off topic for a little, but that's all right. What I'm getting at is we've been handed a certain way to use social media and the internet and technology. And what I said earlier as I began saying, you have to drop the problem in order to pick up a solution. I'm also suggesting you have to drop this mental projection you have of course an ad pops up. I don't even care like if I get copyrighted or anything or whatever. But I hate ads. Ads. I always try to mute ads because ads are just stupid. I hate them. Um, hmm. Hmm. Let's put on this. Let's put on this. It's always beautiful. Um. Hmm. We have to just start using what we have in a different way, beyond the current mental projections we have associated with the materials and the online world we have. Because right now, I think a lot of people are just consuming things online rather than just creating things online. There is people obviously doing what I'm doing, just going at it and starting a conversation, starting something, and it's beautiful. But there's also, I, in my opinion, I don't see a lot of posts online that are very, very random, very just weird, very in their own nature. They're very just like an update of people's lives, or it's just posts of news and culture and memes and like people getting hurt or even people dying at a certain point. Or there's just really weird, odd AI stuff. Um, what I find also to be really interesting is algorithms and how they've been implemented with artificial intelligence, which I don't think a lot of people process or understand yet. Um, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, the TV's listening to me," um, which maybe the TV, the phone is listening to you. I don't know. It'd be something, but I also think that algorithms and artificial intelligence can really just learn an individual's behavior far more than one might realize. Or it also really just it really puts you in an echo chamber of a certain perspective that is only uh, right or wrong to you, which a lot of people's right or wrongs, politically, socially, culturally, um, are really just the same, but they've just been, I like to say, handed a different genre or a different color. It's just something. It's just a new word we put over it, but it's just the same thing. It's all made up of the mind, and a selecting of just being a part of something that we like to be able belong to. Um, I think what I also want to talk about is going along the lines with dropping the problem and picking up a solution. It has to go along with, dropping a certain perspective you have, and not necessarily picking up another perspective and just like devoting your life to that perspective, but going amongst all perspectives and just kind of not hanging on to them, but just kind of peeking into the window of them and seeing them, and remaining not true to a perspective, but remaining true to the not optimism, but remaining true to understanding that we are all truly just made up of mental projections that I mean it doesn't really separate us, but it like I said, it puts us in an echo chamber. Thank you so much. And I also think that you have to drop a certain you have to drop the problem, you have to drop a certain perspective to see something new or to find a new solution, but you also have to realize you have to drop what you're looking at, you have to drop what you're listening to, you have to drop um, who you're talking to, what you're seeing, um, what you're believing, where you're going, um, your environment, like what you're consuming online. If if you're around people who just validate you, then what is like that doesn't sound fun at all. You don't like I think a lot of people do surround themselves with people who validate them or who don't challenge them with perspectives or on their hypocrisy or contradictive behavior, which results in a lot of egotistical niches that get formed. And I think that's what we find ourselves in, is really just a bunch of people who are surrounding themselves with images and words and sounds and people and environments that really just validate their belief system. And when you have a not a government, but a sort of extension of you electronically that just validates you constantly, what more would you need other than the four kind of, the one to the rectangle of the screen, right? You could look up anything and you could show any images and any sort of sounds to validate your perspective. And that's what algorithms implemented with AI do. They validate your perspective because you put in your truth, which is not, I'm saying your truth very lightly, but you put in your sort of perspective, and it only goes to that. It doesn't show you another thing, um, which I find really disturbing and almost hmm, it's disturbing, yeah, but it's also just very scary. It puts us in a world. I think Terence McKenna said this. It puts us in a world full of mind rather than stuff, um, and that really isolates people. I think isolation is different from like solitude or being alone. Isolation is something remaining isolated by a choice or something making a choice for it. Now, are we choosing our isolation, or are we sort of being led for we're being are we sort of being led to a choice for, instead of choosing our isolation? Because I think more times than not, I just see people scroll. I just see people looking at their phone, and I mean, I look at my phone. I play music on my phone or something. I answer a text. I have to answer a call. Um, but there's a difference on than just like being on your phone for a minute to change a song or to change a text, and then being on your phone every waking thing. You start banking on your phone. You're dealing with your bank on your phone. You're dealing with your doctor on your phone. You're dealing with uh, government stuff on your phone. You're dealing with sometimes ordering food on your phone. You're dealing with buying anything on your phone. Like you could literally order a guitar from probably a flamethrower or a gun to your door. Um, you could I, you could do what I'm doing on a phone. You could live stream to the world on a phone. You could take a picture. You could draw something on a white screen. Interact with artificial intelligence. We're we've given, it seems, the power back to our phones. Not back to our phones, because that's like me even like kind of accepting technology into my life, but it's more or less just we've given the power away from ourselves. To what? I don't know if it's necessarily a certain group of people or in electronics or technology or just I, I don't know. What I do know is how we can combat this sort of this sort of thing I'm noticing. And if you're watching this, which I'm only going to keep these 20 to 30 minutes, so hold on. um, what I do know is we have to combat this at our own level. We have to just change. We don't like something, we change it. You don't like your hair, cut it. You don't like your body, you don't like that you're fat, you know? You don't like that you're a boy or a girl. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but argue it, figure it out, change it. What I mean by change it is change your perspective. Why don't you like something? Go to the perspective of how can I find out why I don't like something, and then enjoy it, or you won't enjoy it. It's we're getting. I feel like a lot of things nowadays are caught up in pushing perspectives onto people that just simply don't agree with you. We're noticing that on a grand scheme of things that I'd prefer that a lot of people just educate themselves on, but literally we are experiencing one of the most horrific horrific things I've ever witnessed because I see it all the time on my phone, on my social media, on the internet. I see people talking about it, but I also see some people just not talking about it in person mainly, um, which is a whole different thing. But we're witnessing a literally massacres of people in Palestine. We're witnessing people also just, it's not necessarily homeless people, but it's addicts, drug addicts. I know I see so many people on the streets of Indianapolis, um, just just I don't even know, drunk, high, just begging for something. Which some people just have it bad. There's my little kid, but some people just have it worse than others, and I understand that. You know that everyone has a different path that has led them to the moment they're experiencing right now. Like everything in our lives has led us here, and we have to remind ourselves of that before we just let our egotistical um, problems take over rather than picking up the solution of whatever we find to be a problem. And I think instead of dealing with problems or dealing with disagreements, or there's a little confirmation, when dealing with disagreements or problems, there comes a point where I take that as a no to sushi night. Then what the, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. You lost me. She's fucking. Come here. Now I have to show you the cat. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yes. Wow. Wow. So you have to. I had a problem. I was sad. Right. I was sad. You know what I did? I found a kitten. There's my solution. I picked up my solution. And I wasn't sad, but this is literally the problem. Is we're not worshiping life. I would not cause any harm to this thing unless it caused harm to me, because this little cat's evil. But JK. But literally, we have to start choosing a sort of, like, not friendly behavior, but we have to start valuing what we have in our life, and we have to start changing the way we interact with things. If we don't like something, say why we don't like something, right? We want to change anything. We want to do, if we want to do literally anything, you have to do it. You hate what you're seeing online, post what you want to see online. You hate what the people you're around, what they're talking about, change the topic. Go to a different circle. I think that's what I'm getting at, is to combat what we're experiencing, you have to hold down your perspective of change. I don't know how to articulate that better. It's hard. I think I heard something not too long ago about how, like, a small, devoted, disciplined militia can hold off a large, grand army because of their belief system behind their their cause, their why, their intention. They were on sacred, maybe the small militia was on a sacred land that, they believed that their gods, like, blessed, and that gave them power. And maybe that's why a certain group of small individuals won a battle against a larger army. But there's also, on the perspective of just what I'm doing now, I'm like one perspective of speaking truth on, not speaking truth, but speaking my truth of what I see to be not the problem, but what's going on in the world. I'm the one person, I'm the one small group or militia taking on the large scheme of content and randomness online through just all that bullshit you see online. That's what I'm trying to do. And I think more people need to do that. I know I watch other people who do it, but more times than not, what I notice is that we're just in our echo chambers. We're just looking straight. We're just looking straight. There's no other there's no other left or right or sideways or diagonal or horizontal or vertical. There's nothing. There's no other shapes. There's only circles or square, or there's only circles rather than like the squares or triangles or hexagons or octagons. There's only one shape. There's only one form that people are taking, and it's causing. I think it's causing just people to really lose a sense of worthiness or a cause, maybe like I think worthiness, a sense of worth, a sense of purpose is really necessary, but I don't know, I feel like people have given that worthiness and purpose to items, to materials, to addictions, to substances, to gratification. I mean, I could talk about short-term content, but I mean, I don't even think people are gonna watch this in a long scale form. I mean, maybe eventually, right? I hope someone sits here all 26 minutes and just was like, "Oh yeah, okay," maybe. But I think more times than not, what someone, I've even thought about doing it, but I don't want to do it. Is like I was thinking about having like just clipping a little part of this and just throwing it on a short and then just being like, ah, fuck it, see what hits. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to exist there. I don't want to exist in a 10-second form of like grabbing people's attention. It's like, hey, you there, welcome. No, I don't fucking, like, hey, I'm not doing that. You ever notice that ads do that? Like, I'll randomly hear ads that get loud and they're just like, hey, and there's like random loud music at the beginning of the ad. That I don't want to do that. That's all like short-term content is. It's just grabbing your attention and then taking it somewhere and throwing it. And then you're like devoted there for a while. Um, and that's not, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing now is just devoting my attention to um, this, right? This live. But also, it's a great thing because imagine if 15 people were here right now and then one person was like, hey, what's your favorite food? And I'd be like, hey, okay, let's get into this topic, right? Like, okay, let's talk about like pizza or like burgers or you could go all that. Or like someone's like, hey, how long have you grown out your hair? Like, we're talking about so many, you could talk about literally anything with a live audience, which I think is very important. What's better than a live audience in person, creating conversations, waking people out of their world? There was some dude at my work who like threw out um, like a can, and he like threw it out of his car, and he's like scrolling in his right hand, and I was like, damn, this litterer. So like kind of as a joke, but it was like whatever. I like went up to it and I picked up the can, and I was like, hey man, you dropped this, and he like side eyed me. He was like he purposefully like chose to litter, and it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever done. And I just picked it up and threw it away, but I was like, damn, like he had no reaction. He was just like of course I littered. Like what? You know what I mean? Like why are you talking to me? It was so weird. And regardless of that, I think you got to keep doing that. You got to keep waking people out of their worlds, and just asking someone who has like earbuds in a question. I'm not saying be annoying, but discipline your perspective and don't conform to a challenge or a confrontation. Don't fall to your knees and die on a hill for something that's as small as my little kitten. Like, I think it's not that deep, but it is. We've taken things that are not that purposeful. Do you think more political assassins will come? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I do. And it's really gonna it's how do I say this? It won't be as easy as one might think. It will like it won't be as easy to take next time, I think. If that makes sense. Like, I mean, the Trump thing, right? I've talked about that. That was like the first video I ever posted. Like, was the video after the Trump assassination attempt. I was like, holy shit. Um, and then recent weeks, or the past couple, it was a week or two ago, I don't know, with Charlie Kirk, I the world didn't take it as the world took it right really hard. I think a lot of people consumed it a lot, but I think next time there will be a next time. But I think next time it's gonna be like, oh, again, son of a bitch. I don't know if you saw the huge protests in the United Kingdom or Britain, where I don't even know how many people it was, but there's a lot. I saw just content about it, whatever you want to call it. I just saw information about it. I looked it up some. Saw the YouTuber who was like there, and it just seemed a bunch of people who were radicalized by like just by by technology. It was because you could say, oh, they got really angry over the Charlie Kirk assassination. All right, sure. But what happens? Like, okay, it happened one time in real life. One time, okay? Now think about this. It happened that one time, probably over 1 billion times, and probably watched by one individual numerous times. So it existed many times in many different ways on like and it's still existing now. Like I guarantee you people are still finding out about it. Like imagine someone who just like got back from like a no internet trip or something, or just like someone who's not that active on social media, it's just now finding out about it or something. So that's what really is interesting, because I was having this conversation with uh, a bassist from the band called Pat and the Pissers. I told you about this, Canon. Um, but I was telling him about the music scene now, where it's like so many things are existing at once that blending in to a genre just to like have a community is much easier than being anything individual. And what I mean by that is you for the Charlie Kirk assassination and watching it 1 billion times or a numerous amount of times on the individual level, or just many people watching it at different times throughout history, and reoccurring, like reliving the event. Because like you have to think about like old school media, like with news being like just a broadcast on Friday or Thursday at a certain time. You had to wait periodically to receive information, or you had to go out and find the information yourself or talk to people. It's I don't know. I don't really have like a belief about it. Like really, like sure we could talk about the negative sides or the positive sides of it, but it's just happening. We can't really stop it. I mean, if like we really like did something, I hope anyone watching this is, questioning me. And anyway, I don't really give a shit. I'm just a guy recording, and I'm using the platform you've given me. Cool. Um, that's the thing. We have to change. We have to change on this kind of level. It's not that I'm making little of situations. It's more or less we have to just change what we're doing. And yes, we have to change watching a fucking murder, an assassination. We have to change that. Like why? Why are we watching that so many times? I know I watched it a few times. Just like scrolling on like when it just happened. It was like it was every post. It was like every post. And think about like 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds watching it. Probably a lot younger kids too, honestly. We have to just stop consuming images, consuming sounds, consuming these words, and create our own images, create our own sounds, create our own words without going through a sort of platform or a sort of community that isn't what we want it to be, or what that isn't what we are. A small disciplined militia can do what a large army cannot, but a large army can do what a small militia cannot. A large army can probably defend something rather large, right? But something large can also leave a lot of cracks and crevices for something small. So the large thing, I'm just fucking theorizing now. I'm just kidding. You fucking cat. This is a little sign. This is synchronicity. The small thing, this small thing exists in the world right now. You know what I mean? This small window into life, into my perspective, exists right now amongst the large thing. Now, what if everyone realized that they are a small thing amongst the large thing, rather than the rather than believing they are a part of the large thing? Does that make sense? See, confirmation, yes. Little fila. I know you all. I hope people really just are watching this for the cat. What? All right, bye now.